If you've just realized you're autistic and now nothing feels normal, this video will explain exactly why that happens, what's going on in your brain, and how to get through the weird in-between phase without losing yourself in it. Because what you're feeling right now isn't failure. It's the first step towards actually understanding yourself. You're suddenly aware that you're different, and it feels like being exposed. You probably always knew you were different, and you might have just assumed you were bad at life, too sensitive, too intense, not trying hard enough. If you're anything like me, you might have heard that from other people and internalized it. So you thought you just weren't trying hard enough. And that lasted until one day you learned you were autistic. And that means none of that struggle was your fault. You actually have a different neurology. So your brain goes, oh wait, you mean there was a reason for all this struggle? It's like you've been performing on stage and you're an awesome actor. But suddenly, your brain gives out and you've forgotten all of the lines. And your costume falls off, and so does your wig. So now you feel exposed. Because surely now that you feel this different, can't everyone else see it? The answer to that is no, they actually can't, because you look the same. Now, on top of that, you're suddenly replaying every moment of your life, every awkward interaction, every just relax comment, every why are you doing that? And you realize, oh, that wasn't me being weird. That was me being autistic. And that's both comforting, but also unsettling, which we'll talk about more soon. Lots of feelings. And as you spend time going back and processing things and observing others, you'll really see how different you were all along. You're going through all the feelings at once. Relief? Check. Grief? Check. Anger? Oh, big check. You're going through a lot of feelings and struggling to process them all. It's a cocktail of so many. Anger, resentment, grief, excitement, shock, confusion, just to name a few. That was a few? You finally have an explanation for decades of confusion, but now you have to process it. And as you're learning, autistic people come with our own processing speed. You start reframing everything. That friend who said you were too much, that job that drained you by 10 a.m., those meltdowns you thought were just anxiety. It's a lot to handle, but it's also progress. Because this might be the first time you're not blaming yourself for things that are directly linked to being autistic. Instead of just thinking you're bad at life or wondering why you tried so many things but nothing worked and blaming yourself or getting blamed by others, you're starting to understand. But expect a huge mix of feelings that might send you into burrito mode more than once. Burrito mode is actually nice. It's like being in your own private cave. And if when I'm talking, you're nodding along and saying, yes, this is me, then I know exactly how you feel because I was there, lost and confused after my diagnosis. If you're lost, you need a map, which is exactly what I made. It's called the Autistic Roadmap, 5 steps to find stability and direction after diagnosis. It's simple, easy to follow, and it works. Even better, it's free. So go get it. Links in the description. You're deep in burnout, and this time you actually notice. Here's the part no one warns you about. A lot of adults realize they're autistic after their system has already crashed. It's like living in a body that's been sprinting through a marathon with no finish line. You kept pushing through, but now that you know there's a reason for it, everything suddenly feels impossible. Conversations, noise, even brushing your teeth feels like strenuous work. It's like being on stage performing the same role for years. Then one day, you forget all of your lines. Your brain just goes, nope, we're done. That's autistic burnout. So if you're just discovering your autism after months or years of brain fog, sensory overload, and everything feeling like too much, you're not alone. But this just might be the first time you accepted that the constant overwhelm is happening because you're autistic. So while it's enlightening to know, it's also hard to problem solve and be logical and accept your new self, especially while you're in burnout. But noticing that helps you accept that you need rest, time, and patience to help heal your brain and plan what's next. You're confused about what could feel better because that never seemed like an option. You've tried copying the neurotypical instruction manual your whole life. Make eye contact, understand implied meanings, and don't take things too literally. Don't talk too much, but also don't be weirdly quiet. And definitely don't dive into one topic for too long. But here's a spoiler. That manual was designed for a different group. A lot of norms and expectations are based on non-autistic norms. And while those might vary from culture to culture, they generally weren't made for neurodivergent brains. And as many places are getting faster paced, noisier, and generally more overwhelming, it's hard to see how to feel better. Most of us have never asked that question. How can life feel better? We're too busy pretending we're fine. Plus, there aren't a lot of visible guides or examples of successful autistic people who aren't savants or exceptional in some way. That doesn't mean we don't exist, but a lot of us were undiagnosed. So if you compare yourself to neurotypical norms, you're gonna feel like it's not possible to thrive. I was there. But now that you know you're autistic, just know that there are options. You can feel better, and you deserve to. You don't have to keep up with the tempo of life dictated by non-autistic society. What works for you might look a little different, and that's okay. And it might even be different than how you picture your life. Or is it? I mean, how many of us have pictured our lives in underground secret passageways, in earthen home structures? Anyone? No? Just me? You still don't really understand how everyone else works, but now you know that you don't. Before, you thought you were missing something obvious, like there was a secret social code you just lost somewhere along the way. But now you know, there is something different, and a lot of neurotypical people just seem to get it. Once you know it's different, you might notice the way different people do things is interesting. You might even be able to admire elements of the neurotypical brain. For me, realizing how different our brains are has highlighted why neurodiversity is important. We approach things in really different ways. I see it with my wife, Debbie, who's not autistic. The way we approach so many things is really different, especially when it comes to executive functioning things. Her brain is efficient. She's quickly prioritizing things through her brain in real time. Probably why conversations flow smoothly with her and other people, or why she doesn't get stuck all the time when I do. Because I'm usually thinking of all the information, all the details. I'm honed in on that one thing. I'm analyzing all the options with equal weight to come up with the right answer or to choose the next right step. So if I get an overload of information, easy for me to shut down. But here's the really cool part. Even though there might be frustrating parts of your brain, you also start noticing that your brain can work in really cool ways. The pattern recognition, the depth, the creativity. A lot of autistic brains work differently, and it's really important too. So your brain's not wrong or too slow. It's just running a completely different operating system. And that's why it feels weird after realizing you're autistic. You're not even sure who you are anymore, and you're not sure who to turn to. Right now, you might not be keeping up the version of you that you thought you were before. That might be a high energy version of yourself, or the one who said yes to everything, massed through every meeting, and tried to go with the flow. But now that you're feeling the weight of not knowing before, you hit that wall. So who are you? I'm not gonna lie, it's uncomfortable at first. All of a sudden, the things you tried shutting out or downplaying, or spots where you felt discomfort, it's really hard to hide them now. So nothing feels normal because you have a new normal, and you might feel alone, wondering who to turn to. The good news is that you're not alone. There's a whole bunch of us who are relearning ourselves too. Inside our Auticate membership, we have a ton of bite-sized learning bits for you to get to know more every day, and access to other people who are going through the same journey too. So you're not alone, and this doesn't feel normal because it's not normal for everyone. But this stage of learning after you realize you're autistic, this awkward in-between phase, it's where self-acceptance starts. That's the key to helping yourself find a new normal. That's why we're here, to figure out the next steps together. You're unlearning survival mode. And once you find your rhythm and your people, life doesn't just start feeling normal again, it starts feeling like the new you. So grab the free Autistic Roadmap to help you as you get started on this journey. It's a resource you're going to love, I promise. And stay here with us at Auticate for more learning about your unique brain. Okay.